And at the
Yeah.
moment, it just sucks because there's a whole bunch of civilians and kids in the middle. And that is the consistent message that is coming out is we want the civilians to get the fuck out of the way, and they can't.
Mm.
Because, as Chloe said, it's a third of the size of Auckland. And you have nowhere to go. And the areas that you're being told to get to, you might get bombed on the way. You might not have the ability to move. You know, you're on foot, certainly. It's unacceptable. It is in its current form of genocide. There is nothing, in my opinion, that justifies the actions that Israel are taking. They have much better options.
The people who I've heard people over the weekend, commentators and that, talking about how it's not a genocide because there are lots of, Palestinians left and that won't be wiping out of the whole group. To which, if I was involved in those commentaries, I would say, so therefore you don't think the Holocaust was a Jewish genocide. Lots of Jews still left, so you don't think that was a genocide. So you can't use that because there's some left over. It's the ambition of trying to wipe out a race or a group of people. And, sorry about flattening build. And I know people are going to say the other argument is, Israel could finish it tomorrow by literally flattening the whole of Gaza. Yeah, they could. But I mean, equally, I guess Hitler could have killed all of the Jews on the same day as well. But they systematically did it over a long period of time. It's just, I'm ignorant and I'm the dumbest in the room. I'm happy to be that, but I will err to those who know better than me, and those without the political bias or the affiliation with either side, the groups that are like the Amnesty Internationals or the UNs or the whatever. I'm happy to follow them and their lead as to what this is versus the IDF or versus Hamas or versus this group here who was aligned with Israel or versus this group here who was aligned with Hamas. And all of those groups, the ones that are independent, they're using words like that, genocide. They're using words like an open air prison. They're using words like war crimes, humanitarian crimes. So I'm prepared to throw my hat in with those guys and go, they're not my words. Like someone said to me today, you're not educated enough, and neither am I to class whether these are war crimes. It was on my Twitter feed. And I went, I don't need to be educated enough to do it. I can read Article 33 and what it says of the Geneva Convention. And it says very clearly, collective punishment, punishing a group of people who aren't directly responsible for the crimes, is a crime. So I don't need to be educated, or I think I said that the only level of education I need is to be able to read this article. Here it is. It's undisputable.
Yeah, and it's undisputable because there's not a part that says, but you can do a war crime if they do this. It's like when they attacked that ambulance, which was another very clear violation of international law, was a very clear war crime, a violation of the Geneva Convention as well, I believe. You cannot target ambulances. And it doesn't matter if it was packed to the gunnels with Hamas fighters and ammunition, and that you cannot hit it. You can hit the people that get out of it if they're identified as combatants. If they were unloading explosives for it, you can hit them then. You cannot hit the ambulance.
Yeah.
And we those rules were set, post World War I or around that time. And Israel has much higher capabilities of identifying what an ambulance looks like, who got into the ambulance, and what came out of it. They chose to hit an ambulance. It's a war crime. And genocides like the Holocaust didn't immediately start with the gas chambers and the concentration camps. They wound up to this. And it's the same situation. We're looking at how Gaza is treated by being surrounded on two sides by Israel, by having all of their border crossings controlled in some way by other countries. I actually on three sides, because on the ocean side, that's patrolled by the IDF Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck are you going to do? But I've seen Gaza referred to as an open air prison. because of the walls and because of the surveillance and because of the absolute control other countries have of food supplies, economic means coming into the Gaza area.
Let me wrap up with this, right? Because I just said what it was and I'll show it to you. I find the argument of people saying, well, we're not educated enough to do this, the same as flat earthers going, well, I've never been to the moon. How do I know that that's really in outer space? I've never been there. Have you ever been there? Article 33, individual responsibility, collective penalties, pillage, reprisals. No protected person, and in war, a protected person is a civilian, may be punished for an offence he or she has not personally committed. Collective penalties and likewise all measures of intimidation or of terrorism are prohibited. I don't need to be educated in what a war crime is. I can fucking read.
Not
Now,
a lot of wiggle room in there, Pat.
What that means is Hamas committed a war crime going into the music festival. And what it means is Israel continues to commit war crimes. There is no wriggle room in this. It's in black and white. And for this show, it's fucking highlighted in blue.